So we just got back from Dublin late Monday night. It's now Wednesday, and it was a great trip. What do you think, Kaylin?
All of my worries about the trip were unfounded, except the problem of having to climb into the tour bus on my legs instead of being lifted up with an elevator like I'd planned it to be.
Yeah, so we were supposed to have a tour bus with a wheelchair lift. We messed that up. So Kaylin did have to do a bit of climbing stairs and or taking wheelchair accessible taxis. But Dublin itself was really nice.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. We got to learn a lot. The actual part I was the most worried about was getting there, navigating the airport, and dealing with using the bathroom on the airplane because they are not really big enough to navigate with a wheelchair. But the airport staffs were really nice, really helpful. Mm-hmm. That all worked out really well.
And it wasn't as difficult to get me into the bathroom as we thought it would be.
Yeah, we had a 7-hour flight. So the way our travelers worked is we took a van from Fort Wayne to Indianapolis, took a plane from Indianapolis to Indianapolis to Newark, and then Newark to Dublin. So there's a 7-hour flight from Newark to Dublin, which is kind of long to not use the bathroom at all. But the flight attendants were really great at making sure that Kaylin could use the bathroom while on the flight. So they have a specialty aisle chair that I got him on, and then they had curtains they could draw so that I could help him get in and out of the bathroom with privacy.
Other than the curtains, they kind of made a wall of themselves in front of the bathroom door so no one could see.
Yeah, so that worked out. And they were pleasant flights. Everything ran on time. They had decent food on them. I was pretty happy. They didn't lose their luggage. They didn't break our luggage. When is it ever that easy?
They didn't break the wheelchair, did they?
No, they didn't break the wheelchair either, so I guess that was another big worry. Yeah, they handled the wheelchair just fine. So we got to use our wheelchair for everything but when we were on the plane itself. So, for navigating the airports, Kaylin got to be in his own chair, which is good because it's way more comfortable than their big chairs. And then, I would just take him down the jet bridge in his chair, and then they transfer him to the small wheelchair, the aisle chair, to actually get him into his seat on the plane. One tip that I guess we learned, so one of the first people who transferred him from his wheelchair to the aisle chair, they wanted another person from the airport to help them let me transfer him. I know how he transfers, and they're like, okay. But the second one at Newark airport has issues. But anyhow, they're like, no, our policy is it has to be 2 airport personnel. So we're waiting for another person to come. I am good at, doing this transition. I know how to transfer him, just let me do it. And they're like, no, that's not our policy. It has to be someone from our airport. So we wait so long for someone to come from the airport personnel. And the way they did the transfer isn't even the best way to transfer Kaylin.
They picked me up.
Yeah, Kaylin does a really good pivot transfer, and that's not what they did. They picked him up and put him in the other chair. So then on the way back when we were in Dublin, there was a person to help get Kaylin on the aisle chair, and I said I would like to be the one to transfer Kaylin onto the aisle chair because I know how he transfers. And he's like, do you accept responsibility? I'm like, yes. And apparently that's the magic words, is that we have to say we accept responsibility if anything goes wrong, and then I get to transfer Kaylin myself. So now that we know those magic words, I think traveling will be easier. As long as, because then at the next airport when we were at Newark, I said, I want to transfer you, and yes, we accept responsibility, and they let me do it then.
The really weird thing about Newark was that the couple of days before we got there was a massive storm that ended up making them have to cancel all flights.
Yeah, there were people at Newark who had been trapped there for a day or two. So they were running out of food, they were running out of staff. It was very chaotic. Not the best situation. We were pretty frustrated with that.
We couldn't find a restaurant that actually had food that could make.
Yeah, there were like all these restaurants who like have signs about what they have, and then we go to order. Like, no, we're out of that. We're out of that. We're closing now. We're out of everything. But yeah, we got through. We should probably talk about Dublin itself.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite thing about the trip that we got to see?
I think it was the castle. I don't remember what it was called.
I think that was my favorite too. So we went to see Malahide Castle, which is in like a suburb just north of Dublin, and we took the light rail system there. And that was so beautiful. So the way this castle works is like the innermost like square of the castle is from the Middle Ages. It was built in the 1100s. And like at that time, it wasn't that hospitable place to live. Like it was just about defense. So it was cold and not that comfortable, but like defendable, because that's the point of a castle. But then over the years, like the families who lived there would like add on to make it more comfortable. So it had many phases of renovation and add-ons, the last being in the 1970s. So like the innermost square that was really old, like now you can't even see it from the outside because they've added on like all directions from like various different eras. So that was really cool because it's kind of like walking through like different eras. So one of the later add-ons so include an elevator, so it's actually a wheelchair accessible castle, and that was really cool. Did not expect to necessarily get to see several levels of a castle with parts that old when you're in a wheelchair. So we had a lot of fun visiting that castle. Also, their grounds were gorgeous. Some of the people who lived there were really into gardening and making beautiful landscaping. There's also a butterfly garden. So we enjoyed that a lot. I guess I'll try to insert some pictures into this video, or maybe at the end of the video.
Everyone knows that green is Ireland's color, and there's a reason for it. It's not only in the gardens of the castle, but the countryside on the trip up on the train. You look out at the countryside and it's so green. I'm colorblind, and I could see the green so clearly. It was ridiculous how beautiful and green the countryside is.
Yeah, the marketing for Ireland, like, that was not a lie. It really is that beautiful. It did rain a lot, but, like, it wasn't bad. So I feel like around here when it rains, like, it rains for days and you just never seen the sun. So, you know, when I saw the forecast of when we were going to be gone and, like, I saw rain every day, I'm like, we're never going to get to see the sun. But it didn't work that way. It's just that, like, it would be overcast and it'd be sunny, and then it'd be rainy for a little bit, and then it'd be sunny again. Like, it wasn't all one thing all day. So we just kind of had to time it right. Like, when we were at the castle, we took the train to the train station, then we had like a walk that's maybe, you know, a mile or two long to get to the castle. And like, as we were getting close to the visitor center to pay for our admission, we start noticing the sky clouding up, looks like it's gonna storm. So we like go into the visitor center, you know, pay for our admission, and at that point it was raining. So like, well, you know what, let's not go outside yet. So they had like a little restaurant. We bought a scone, ate the scone, and then the rain went away. The scone came out and went and toured the castle, and then we toured the grounds. So it just seemed to be like we had to time it right to not get rained upon.